My brother was the sweetest person in the entire world, and he would have done anything for everybody. But he took drugs, he started taking drugs, and that changed him as a total person overall. And instead of being nice to my family and I, he was horrible. It was like a monster. It wasn't him. My brother to me was basically everything that a big brother is. He taught me everything ever since I was little. He played with me. I mean, we'd go outside and we'd play chase, build forts, do everything that normal kids do. Up until the time I was about 12 and he was 14, 15, somewhere around that age, can't remember. Yeah, he was like 14 years old. Then he started to grow older and he started to hang out with different types of people, different crowds. And my parents couldn't see that these people were bad because a lot of parents tend to ignore who their kids hang out with, and they don't realize that these people may not be the best people to hang out with. Of course, my parents tried to tell them, you know, don't hang out with this person, don't hang out with that person, but a kid is necessarily probably going to do what they want to do anyways. He started taking drugs. I'm assuming that he started with just alcohol or smoking cigarettes, but then he started smoking weed, which some of his friends had told me that he was doing drugs or whatever, and I mean, I wasn't going to be a tattletale and tell on him, which I really regret, but that's how a lot of kids are. You don't want to be like, Mom, you know, my brother's doing drugs, you know, you just kind of ignore it. And my parents, they had found weed in his room once, and they were like, well, what are you doing, and all this other stuff, and he's like, oh, it's not a problem, I'm not addicted to it or anything like that, and they were like, okay, well, just don't do it, it's really bad for you and everything like that. And a lot of people don't discuss this, but I mean, it is a big problem. As soon as you find any signs of them doing anything, you should, at that point, take action. This continued on, and we went on a vacation, and we came back, and my brother had a party, and we found a lot of other drugs at my house, and my parents sent him to rehabilitation. When he came back, he swore to everybody that he had changed, and we thought he had. For a while, he was acting like his old self. He'd bring my mom a flower. He'd go out and play with me, and we'd just do a lot of fun things. And I remember when he came back, I'm really involved in like track and field. I'd been at to the Empire State Games ever since I'd been in 7th grade. And I told him, Kenny, why don't you come and try out? Because my brother was naturally an athlete. He could have done any sport and been at the top of it, but he chose not to. So he didn't choose to participate in these activities, so no one ever seen how good of an athlete he was, but I knew right away. So I said, okay, Kenny, come outside and throw the javelin with me. And he threw it, and I was like, wow, you're good. You should go to tryouts with me. So he went to tryouts with me, and he made it to Empire State Games his first try. 2 weeks later after tryouts, and my brother came over to my house, and he was just sitting there talking to me and saying how excited he was about going and everything like that. And then we had really thought at this point that he had cleaned up. And I remember that one of his friends had told me that he was doing it behind our back. Before he left my house, he was just saying how excited he was and everything, and he left, and I said, Kenny, please, if you're doing drugs or anything, tell me. Don't do them. Seriously, it's not worth it, you know? You are too good of a person. You don't need to be hanging out with the people that you're hanging out with, and your life is more valuable than theirs. Basically, you're a better person. If they want to do that, let them. I remember is his friends knocked on my door at like 4 o'clock in the morning. And I didn't know what was wrong. They said Kenny almost got hit by a car. And so I didn't know what was going on, so we woke up my parents, and my parents went out to look for him. They said they couldn't find him, that he had ran off. And we didn't know what was going on. I mean, it was in the middle of the morning, no one knew what was going on, so I was just at my house, and my parents left to go look for him. And they were gone for about an hour, so I was like, I wonder where they are. My friend was there with me. And this was about 4:30 in the morning now, and I said, okay, let's go look for him. So my friend and I, we decided to get on some clothes, and we went jogging. And we jogged down the road, and we see these sirens and police cars and everything. And I was jogging down the road, and all of a sudden I see my mom and my dad, and they're standing there, and they see me, and they put their arms out, and they were just like, they like fell to the ground. And I just knew it. I didn't even have to like get near him, and I knew that he was gone. Just tried to deny that they even had anything to do with it, but the whole story was that he smoked weed that had been laced with cocaine, and because of that, he died. His friends were not true friends. He did not know that, but we did, and we said, you know, it basically was in a sense their fault because it's not their fault. He made his own decisions. You know, we're not blaming them. He made his own decisions himself, but they were not his friends, you know what I'm saying? Like he thought he was, and that was one of the saddest aspects of it because he thought they were, and he died with no friends. Said, okay, we're gonna be positive about this, and make good of it, of something that's bad. And since then, my family we've gotten really close. I've been involved in several commissions, I'm in New York State Drug and Alcohol Abuse Commission, because I don't want to see what I went through happen to other families. Since then, I've really excelled. I took that and I said, well, everything I do now, I'm going to do for my brother. That summer, I went to Junior Olympics and I placed nationally, and since then I've gotten scholarships to D1 colleges, anyone that I wanted. I think it's horrible. It's a horrible situation, anything that of this caliber is. But the worst thing is that summer, a month after he died, walking into Empire State Games without